Excuse me. I'll bring the October 24th Caribou City Council meeting to order. First item tonight is public input. Anyone from the audience that has any public input tonight can come to the microphone and give their name.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Mike Quinlan, and we're working with the folks over at the Broadband Coalition to bring tonight the proposal for you to consider.
One second,
Is
Mike.
this tonight, or?
Do we want to do this now or when we get to that item?
Whichever council prefers, I guess.
I can wait till the item comes up if you'd like.
Yeah, we'll do that in this case because it's on the agenda.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? All right, any conflicts of interest from any of the city council regarding any agenda items? No. Consider authorizing minutes of the following meetings: October 11th, 2016 city council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? I guess the only one I had some questions on financials from that meeting, and I still haven't heard anything, so.
My apologies, I think I've got the answers to that. I'll get those to you tomorrow.
Okay. Consent agenda. Approval of the quitclaim deed and abatement of property taxes.
I think we need a vote on
Oh, we
the
need a vote
minutes.
on, okay, sorry. On the minutes. All those in favor? Approved. Consent agenda. Approval of the quitclaim deed and abatement of property taxes.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Approved. Broadband planning study. Michael, you're the presenter, are you? Okay.
The presenter. I have a great cast with me tonight. Bill, Shane, Austin, and I have, along with a few other folks in the community, have come together with the Broadband Coalition with the hopes of uncovering the opportunities that may exist with trying to expand rural broadband. I don't want to go into too much of the history of it, but essentially from all points in Caribou, we're looking to try to deploy broadband internet. We're not really too sure by what method just yet, and that's a lot of what this study is meant to help us procure. As well as it's meant to take a look at the current infrastructure to give us an opportunity to say, well, this is what's currently being deployed. Is this enough? What's the cost of doing nothing? As well as going all the way to fiber to every single door and household here in Caribou. And we feel as though that based on the internet questionnaire that we put out to the community, that there is certainly enough interest in us exploring this opportunity. So this is an opportunity for us to be able to potentially uncover a service that what we feel as though is a utility in its birth. And more than likely, none of us have seen a utility born into an existence like the internet has. I theorize that at some point in time in the future, whether it's 50 years or 250 years, that there will be an Emera internet that we'll be making our payments to. And wouldn't it be nice to have had the forethought to think about making those payments to something that potentially, the city could recoup and keep into 04736 those profits being made. I think there's very few opportunities for us in the future to look for additional revenue streams to help you all do the things that you need to do in maintaining and increasing the services to the citizens and to continue to help Caribou grow. It's an interesting time because if you look at the way internet is currently being deployed in the for-profit sector, it really could be argued that it's really being not deployed in the most efficient way possible. And quite frankly, I'm not sure how long it would ever take for us to be able to see some of the broadband speeds here in Caribou. I may never see it in my lifetime if we wait for the current situation to unfold. At some point in time, it's going to be deployed in a non-monopolistic, unnatural monopoly way, where there's going to be one player who's going to be able to make a certain amount of profit, which is the way the PUC manages the electric companies, that's more than likely going to come out of this. So this is an opportunity for us to explore. It's as simple as that. I think that there's enough reason to want to consider to explore the opportunity to generate more revenue through this means. And so we welcome any questions, and I'm sure Austin's got plenty of data for us to share if you have any questions about it. But thank you for your time.
Austin, did you want to go through this?
I can.
Just give
if
it
the
to
council
council.
would like. Yep. So as the council is aware, the Broadband Coalition is moving forward with the efforts to bring high-speed internet to every residence in Caribou. There are a number of areas in the community that currently do not have access to high-speed internet in Caribou, and only a small handful of people have access to speeds over 50 megabits down, and no one has speeds of 50 megabits up. The minimum proposed speed that the Caribou Broadband Coalition is 100 megabits per second up and down. As availability of faster broadband speeds has shown significant positive impact on local economies, this project is something the City of Caribou should certainly be proud of. The CEGC and the Council have discussed this point in their past few meetings as well. The Coalition has requested proposals for companies to help in the planning of the broadband business plan. Specifically, they've looked for proposals that would provide the city with a 10-year financial pro forma, including a profit and loss statement, balance sheet, and income statements. The pro forma will also provide the city with a highly detailed projection of revenue, expense, debt costs, subscription rate projections, capital expenses, and build-out plans. It would also look at governance and ownership strategies, looking at whether or not it should be municipally owned and operated or a public-private partnership. Part of the proposal will also be financing options, including grants, partnerships, etc., and also the infrastructure proposals. So the committee received 7 proposals from different firms. They did interviews with 3 of the companies. Based upon the proposals and the interviews, Tilson is best suited out of all the companies to lead us through the study, work with us to gather the information, and provide the best broadband business plan. The work on the plan will begin in January, and this cost is budgeted for in the 2017 budget in the Economic Development Department. So the committee is asking and recommending that the council approve to enter into a contract with Tilson to complete the study at a cost of $46,500.
Okay. Any questions or comments from council?
The only comment I'll provide is I work with a lot of communities. Almost all the communities I work with, almost all of them are studying this very thing. I'm glad to be on the broadband committee. It's opened my eyes to a lot of different things, a lot of potential economic development scenarios, and I'm in favor of this move forward.
Well, I guess I'm probably one of the dumbest ones up here about the internet, so I'll probably have to ask a lot of stupid questions. I mean, to me, I understand we have high-speed internet here now. I mean, I've talked to probably 40 or 50 people here since I've heard about this study, and asked all of them if what they have today is meeting their needs. And from out of that 50 people, I'd say there was 2 that probably said it wasn't, but they didn't have the high-speed internet that was available to them today. They had Fairpoint, and if they would have gone to Time Warner, to the 50 megabyte service, I would think they would have all the speed they want. So, I mean, my obvious question is, how many companies are there in Caribou that have left here because we couldn't meet their needs with internet service that they required? How many have left?
I do not know.
How many companies have looked at coming here and changed their mind because high-speed internet that they required wasn't here?
It's not so much big companies that are looking to come. It's more about the families that are looking to get outside of the Boston or New York type of areas that can do what they do in Boston or New York from their home, and they want to do it in a more rural area where the quality of life is better, it's easier access, better schools, and that type of thing. So if you talk with the local realtors, and this was one of the comments provided on the survey responses, that they've had tough time selling some houses because there's a lack of internet available in those locations. So this would provide internet to every household in Caribou at a high speed.
There is,
100
in the rural areas, there is probably
Yeah.
places that aren't.
On the business side of things, a good example is my business. We have several offices around North America, and I have to access other servers in all those multiple offices for different files, very large files. I work with CAD files. There's several megs in size, and that's very difficult to do with the speeds that we work with right now.
What speed do you have at your office?
We're working with 16 to 20.
So why don't you get the
service.
50 megabyte service from Time Warner?
Because that's not what we need. We need something quick. We need something upwards of that speed. So
Well, that's, my understanding, that's just 4 to 5 times faster than what you got now.
I guess you'd really have to work with the system to fully appreciate that. But we get to save a document or to upload a document from another site is several minutes. And in our business, time is money, so that's pretty important to have that speed.
Well, that's why I would think you would want to do it 4 or 5 times faster than you're doing it now.
We actually want to do it much faster than that.
So what's also happening is we have these various needs that are around the city. I need to dial into other people's computers all throughout the US. And at times I have 10 megabytes per second, at times I have 12. It's
What service do you have?
Pioneer.
And what is their speed that they,
That we're capped, that's capped. That's what DSL can do. That's what that
Okay.
technology can do.
and so why wouldn't you go to Time Warner with the 50 megabyte service?
And that is certainly available. And
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's take a look at what that deployment of that service in that industry is doing right now across the U.S. The state of Oregon is in a nasty $200 million lawsuit against Comcast because of their inability to provide this level of service that they need. The internet industry right now is actually vilified. If you look at the customer service rankings throughout the U.S., it's actually hated worse than the IRS. And it's because of how they're deploying it. They have come together with the conclusion that, and they've made this statement, all the CEOs have come together and said that we don't need to have anything greater than, I think it was 7 megabytes per second. Is that the standard response that we're getting? Reason being, I theorize that they understand, these CEOs understand that the sun is setting on this industry. And so therefore they need to squeeze out as much profit as they can for as long as they can. It only makes sense. I would be the one making that decision if I was sitting in that CFO's chair. I'd have them do the exact same thing. That's what they're meant to do, is develop profit as for-profit companies. And so what happens in the wake of that is it may not be in their best interest to build out an infrastructure here in Caribou because the return on investment may not be the highest and best use of their investment dollars. That doesn't necessarily mean that our interests align with theirs. So when we try to think about where we want to be 20, 30, 40 years down the road, we want to understand that we have the infrastructure set up to attract the people that we want to have in our community to help us add to the tax base. And this is definitely an opportunity for us to see if we can make this work. Right now, I'm theorizing that the internet industry is operating at this profit margin. And as they go up for 5 megabytes, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, they're elongating their revenue stream for as long as possible while not investing in their current infrastructure so they can take out as much profit. It makes sense. What we want to do is go into the future where we know it's going to have to operate at a certain profit margin and bring that into existence now so we can start to put together a product that could be as good as twice the bandwidth at half the cost. And wouldn't that be nice to know that we were on the forefront of that? The study will help us allow to understand if that's a possibility. I mean, even if we were to able to just capture the market that's being used right now for internet, and it can pay for itself on its own, I'd be the first one to tell you that I'd walk away from this project if it can't pay for itself. It's got to be able to do that.
Yeah, well, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, the study you're talking about, you're saying is 46.5.
So
What
there's
does
a lot
that
of things
46.5 include?
Everything that's in that middle paragraph there, the business plan, 10-year financial pro forma, looking at the expenses, revenues, debt service, subscription rates, everything right in that paragraph.
I have some numbers here from Tilson that have variations in them. 10 to 15,000, 3 to 5,000, 18,000 plus, 12,000, 15,000. I think that's where this 46.5 comes from, because if I add up all the lowest numbers, it comes out to 46.5.
Are you looking at the proposal that the Broadband Coalition received from
Well,
Tilson?
I don't know if that's the one you received, or if you received a new one that's got different numbers on it, maybe.
I guess I'm not sure where you received that one from, so I couldn't answer which one you're looking at, but the one that we're recommending is firm numbers from
It's,
Tilson.
so the 46.5 is a firm number for the, to do the entire job.
Yep.
So the one here that says identify community needs, asset inventory and infrastructure gaps, 10,000 to 15,000.
That's not the right numbers. I'm not sure where you got that from, or that's not the proposal.
Original proposal, I shared that with them.
Okay, but that's not the proposal that they sent when we sent out the RFPs. We talked with Tilson earlier in the process, and they shared some general information, which is what you're looking at.
So the definite number is 46.5,
Yep. 40. Yes.
okay? Do we have any idea what the cost would be to install this network in the city of Caribou, for the city of Caribou? I mean, does the
Isn't
committee
that what
bother
they're
to look at other places to see what it's cost them of all these places that are supposedly doing this? What they've had to put up front to do
The
this
general
stuff?
ballpark that you're looking at is about $15,000 to $20,000 per mile of fiber.
So how many miles of fiber do we need in Caribou?
We have 150 road miles,
Yeah,
so
we have
that's a
150 road
decent number to use for ballpark figures.
So what does that give you in total?
It's a lot of money.
3 million.
$2.25.
So, you know, if we do this $46,000 study, spend the money on it, we would have to put this out to referendum to go ahead with it.
Correct.
And so you fellas feel pretty confident that the taxpayers in Caribou are gonna be willing to
I don't think anybody could make
bond out? to
make
it?
that statement right now, and that's part of the reason why we need to look at this and all of the possibilities that go along with it. From an economic development standpoint, you got to look at the full broad picture.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't see the taxpayers willing to bond out $2.5 million or whatever.
Now, you do
Here's
know
a-
that
here's-
that isn't really how it works. Like, nobody's gonna have to, like, we're not gonna just tax and create $250,000. It's gonna have to take a municipal bond. It's gonna have to
That's what I
be-
just said, bond out,
Yeah, it's gonna have to be bonded out.
Yeah.
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 But again, you know, to invest in the infrastructure is what the intent is. And there's many more hurdles to this. Make no
Oh, I'm
mistake
sure
about
there
it.
are. And that's why I'm questioning it, because I look at the hurdles and I can't see citizens wanting to bond out $2.25 million or whatever. I mean,
Now,
participation
now,
rates are gonna have to be awful high from the people in Caribou here into the system to make it work.
You're exactly right.
I don't know what that level is, but boy,
It's gonna take knocking on doors.
I mean,
Quite frankly.
and again, I look here, 20% of the citizens in Caribou are over 65 years old.
Yep.
I can't imagine how much interest they're gonna have in this. Most of the ones I know, all they wanna do is look at their email, that's pretty well covers it for them.
Yeah.
And they certainly don't need 1 gigabyte service to look at their email. So,
You would be surprised to know that that basic level of cost is ever increasing.
you mean the basic level of
You
cost?
know, whether it's 10 megabytes per second, or whether it's 7 megabytes, or whether it's still dial-up in some cases, the average cost of your monthly fee is not cheap.
Yeah, in your study, I noticed you had $66 a month people are paying. I mean, what's wrong with everybody out there? It's advertised on TV every day for $39.95.
Yep, it sure is.
And mine is less than that. I don't even pay that. So,
Well, no, I mean, if you shop and you have opportunities going past your door, more than one, then you may have the opportunity to purchase something. But the truth is, it's not a consistent experience. Not everybody has the same opportunities as everyone. And the average cost of that monthly fee is going up every single month.
I would say it would probably go up every single month until the time you decided to go ahead with this. And then it'll go down.
You may be surprised. This model is more along the lines of a Google Fiber experiment. And they've not seen where their lower end prices, mid-level prices, some of their high-level prices have tried to kind of come in line, but they still have failed.
I mean, I guess first of all, my first reaction to this stuff all the time is, why are we trying to compete with private companies that are in this business? I mean, I don't see that the municipal government should be in that position of competing with private companies. I can see us trying to go and work with the private company and do something, but to compete with them, I don't know.
This study will tell us if should be municipally owned and operated, or if we should look at a public-private partnership, and which is more beneficial for the city and the citizens. So that's part of this proposal.
The bottom line, I think, is if we do nothing, then 10 years from now, 30% of us will be over 65. If we can spend $80,000 this year to tear down Birdseye, or part of it, I think we can spend $40,000 on a chance to bring people into this town that will be less than 65 years old. It's that creative economy, and I know I don't understand it completely because I am one of those 20%. But I like the speed.
In my research, is there there's no legislation or anything in Maine that doesn't allow municipal governments and that to get into this? Because I've noticed in many other states there is, where municipal governments can't get into
Right, the
the.
telecommunications industry has
Broadband.
lobbied a lot of states to pass those laws, but in Maine there is no such law.
There is no such law in Maine. Yeah, because I see there's a lot of states that have passed laws that restrict municipalities from getting into the broadband business.
Mayor, I'll just give you this to think about. We are losing our state funding with the revenue sharing, which revenue sharing is a form of consumption tax coming back to us per rata share. So for the first time in almost a half a century, all the towns and municipalities across the state are having to deal with a missing portion of their revenue tax in the form of a consumption tax. And I believe that there are only a few safe avenues to help build back that consumption tax. And I think that utilities is a safe place for municipal governments to operate. This is not going to be in the for-profit sector forever. This is going to turn into a Title II Communications Act of 1934 managed utility. And the question is do we want our payments to go to another Emira and then go to Canada? Or would we like to take a little bit of hold in some of the direction and do something for ourselves? Because the state is not going to come fix this for us, guys. Thank you.
Well, I will tell you that, I mean, you say the revenue sharing has gone down, and yes, it has, but the last 2 years, we've seen a change in the homestead exemption, which in some ways returns revenue to us. And I know that the state is currently looking at what other possibilities there are. They want to get it right directly back to the taxpayers, mind you, not through the municipality, but either way, if it benefits the taxpayers, I think it's great.
I'll just say that
I've come
appreciate-
across a few other things that, that concern me as well. That when I looked at this deal about the states that have limits on broadband, and like Colorado, Wisconsin, and them, and it says the laws were also meant to protect cities from taking expensive ventures that may fail, as they have in many cities, said Lawrence Spivak, who is an economist and president of the Phoenix Center for Advanced Legal and Economic Public Policy Studies, which has studied municipal broadband. It's playing with taxpayer money. That's what his claim is. And I look at what's happened in other areas. It says, as many have. I look at Provo, Utah, and I sure as hell don't want to end up in that situation in Caribou, Maine. So, and I'm sure you fellows know what I'm referring to. For those of you that don't, Provo, Utah has got about $40 million that they invested in high-speed internet. The network ran out of money. They sold it for $1 to Google. They still have to make the payments for the next 12 years. Those are the kind of things that concern me. Do I think a bunch of people are going to move here and everything because of high-speed internet? I'm sorry, I don't. There's all kinds of places that have high-speed internet. I'd love to see the population go up, but, you know, most people need jobs when they come somewhere.
If they had a choice when they're choosing to come here, I'd love for them to choose Caribou.
Yeah, I would too.
And if they can bring their jobs with them from wherever they're coming, that's what this is targeting.
You know, we can be a sophisticated outdoorsy community with the backbone of being able to dial into Manhattan when we want. It would be nice to be a work-from-home community and have the infrastructure to be able to do that.
Well, I'm one of the 20% that's over 65, and I test out 17 on my computer, and I've worked at home for years, and I've really gotten along just fine with what I have. And I personally think that $46,500 is too much money to pay for a study for something that may, down the road, be profitable or not. But I think that there are other places that we can put the money into the infrastructure in our city right now that is more needed than this. And I think it's just too much money for a study. If we had some guaranteed results, maybe that would be fairly forthcoming or something, but
I'd love to give guarantees.
You know, the other obvious thing, of course, Mike, is the fact that, you know, if this is such a great deal and you're talking about twice the speed and half the price and all this money that the taxpayers are going to be able to save in the future and so on, why don't you run this business? Why don't you start it as a private individual? I mean, you'll be a multimillionaire here before you know it.
But I don't believe that that's the cost structure that's going to happen. That's my point. The sun's setting on this industry. That's why what's happening is what's happening.
But why don't you do this project instead of that the city should do it? Why don't you do it yourself as a private
I'd
company?
love to have cheap, great internet. That's my hidden agenda on this.
Yeah,
And
but
I
wouldn't you
also
like
would
to make the
be able
millions
give
of
back-
dollars that you think might be here?
I'd like to be able to see something go back to the city.
Well, you can donate it back to the city after you've made it all yourself.
I think what he's trying to say is that, you know, he's looking not just at himself, we're looking at the entire community. Not just him saving money, not just him maybe making $1.
But what I'm looking at is if this is feasible. If it is feasible, I don't know whether it is or not, but if it is, why isn't a private company taking this on themselves right now and saying, hey, look at how much money we can make here in Caribou. We're going to give them 1 gigabyte service for half the price they're getting now, twice the speed and half the price. Plus how much you're thinking that the taxpayers are going to get back on top of that. Why isn't somebody doing that?
I don't know if I.
Yeah, I don't.
I did ask that
I
question.
think that we could probably explore that longer in another type of session, but,
I did ask that question a couple of times.
yeah.
Some of the things I took away from it are, and I think I brought it up, is that we gotta look at a buy-in before we do this, okay? And the survey, I don't think quite qualifies to satisfy the requirement of the buy-in. So, because you've got people that are already probably dealing with 3 different private entities at the time we speak. We're gonna offer broadband and broadband alone, you know, and maybe sometime in that millennial in the future, the TV and the telephone may come across that particular broadband system. And Dave's right, Shane's right, Gary's right, everybody sitting here that has an opinion about it is correct. But some of the other things that I took from some of the interviewees was that nobody has taken this on in the state of Maine 100% municipal. There's a partnership. It is a costly endeavor, even initially, because you're talking about $18,000 to $22,000 per mile. That's just for your fiber. What's it gonna cost for the infrastructure? Who's gonna maintain it? You know, we're gonna build another department within the municipality. And then, when the private sector does see what we're doing, then the competition is gonna start. And I think that one of the companies that we discussed brought that up and discussed it at a wee bit of in-depth.
And what's it gonna cost you to where you're gonna run this all, whether it's on the poles or whatever? You charge, does Amerit charge so much a pole for?
You're getting way far ahead of what we're asking here tonight. We're asking a proposal to tell us to answer all these questions that you're asking us tonight. We're not. You're 2-3 steps ahead of where we're asking.
I usually am. I usually am.
When you're talking about return on investment, the only answer I can give you is the lesson we all learned in the game of Monopoly. Would you rather own Boardwalk, or would you rather own one of the railroads? There's a reason why. It's only gonna pay so much rent. So people want Boardwalk because it's gonna pay a lot more rent. The industry is such that it's producing a good amount of profit at its current infrastructure. But that infrastructure is not being invested in because the return on investment is not there in the for-profit sector. But it could be for us here.
Profit is not there for them, but it could be for us if we went in it. That's what you're saying?
It's not a good idea for the city to consider jumping into a for-profit industry. As you've already said,
Yeah.
you would have some trepidation in doing that.
Yeah, I would.
Right. This is an opportunity for us to consider moving into an area that's probably not going to go for profit forever. We're seeing the birth of a utility. We've never seen it before, but this is what it looks like.
So will it be for profit at twice the speed and half the price you're talking about?
How is the PUC managing the electricity right now? There's only
It's
so
the
much
PUC
profit.
managing of the electricity,
That's a utility that's managed.
not by the city.
No, I'm talking about the
Water,
structure.
wastewater.
There's only so much profit that they can make. So if you had $1 and you could invest it somewhere and get 30 cents on the dollar, or you could invest it elsewhere and get 17 cents a dollar, where would you choose to put that dollar?
It depends what it is and for how long I figure I can get it.
These are all questions that we're looking to get answered. It's a great conversation. I enjoyed it. But I mean, that's the reality is that this is gonna be an industry that's not gonna be as sexy as the for-profit is. Right now it is, because it's in the heyday. But as we've seen, we're at the end of the line. And we are not seeing the investment in our community.
Now tell me, you know I live on Main Street there. Does this high-speed internet go right by my house?
The main fiber company.
So could I get hooked onto that tomorrow or whatever?
Perhaps.
Only on Main Street, though.
Oh, you know. Last time I drove down Main Street, there's some houses for sale there. Jesus, we could have somebody move up here right now and move into one of them houses. They'd be able to have high-speed internet in their house. Why don't the realtors sell them? I mean, I don't know. I just.
We are being so short-sighted about economic development in this community.
Well, I don't think we,
And-
well, we
and-
maybe are, we shouldn't be, but we
You know,
maybe are.
we continued, we did the deal with Buxton, gave
Yeah.
us a lot of good data. We've chosen not to do that again, and we need to continue the economic development in this community.
I don't disagree, I just think that, there's maybe other ways of doing that.
We need, what other ways are there to do it?
Well,
I mean, this broadband coalition group has gotten together and has provided a very good solution to look at. And
well, I would suggest another solution that we could look at for economic development. And maybe it wouldn't even cost us that much. And this is something I've just thought about in the last few weeks. where we're located here, there's communities that aren't that far away from us that are doing quite well. And I don't know why we're not going to talk to them and finding out why. What's the difference? And I'll tell you, surprisingly, they're just across the border. I look at Grand Falls, New Brunswick, whose population has risen in the last 10 years, who have stores up there that would even make Presque Isle jealous with the stores they've got, never mind us. I mean, they've got a huge Canadian Tire up there, they've got a Kent Building Supply, which is like a Lowe's, they've got a superstore that you could put all the groceries in Caribou in and still have room left over. And then look at Woodstock, New Brunswick, down a little south. Same thing. I mean, the population is growing in these cities. They're getting more and more retail business and stores. What are they doing? I mean, would it be worthwhile to call over to them and make an appointment and see if we can't go over and talk to them and say, why has this happened in this last period of time?
Because they're not at the end of the line. They're not at the end of the line. There's all of Fredericton and Nova Scotia below them.
Well, there's Portland and everything below us.
Yeah, and nothing above us. We're not in the middle of anything.
They're probably well subsidized too.
I'll just tell you that my brother, who worked for Madison Paper Industry, would probably take issue with the fact that they were shipping over their wood subsidized, which is the equivalent of us pushing our milk on Canada at our $4 a price versus their $8.
And their potatoes.
And they were great. Oh my goodness. We could make money hand over fist, and then let the legal system sort it out, and then at some point in time get an injunction years down the road after all that profit was sucked up. I like the idea. I'd be the first one to call over there and start asking.
Yeah, I don't know what harm it would do.
It wouldn't do any harm.
Could we settle this issue first?
Yeah, we can.
I'll make a motion to accept the proposal as presented.
Second.
Motion to accept the expenditure of $46,000 for the broadband study. All those in favor? Opposed? And defeated. Next item on the agenda.
Recently, the city went out for RFP for audit proposals as required by the city charter. We requested a quote for auditing services to audit fiscal years 2016 through 2018. We received 4 proposals back, however, only 3 of them met the entire scope of the request. RHR Smith & Company, Buxton, Maine, $15,000 for each of the 3 years. They meet the scope of the work, but did not include preparation of MD&A. Also, consulting and accounting services outside the audit are charging an hourly rate of $125 to $150. Felch and Company right here in town, 2016, $16,000 going up to $16,500 in 2018. They meet the scope of the RFP. Additional consultation and accounting services have not been invoiced to the city in the past. Runyon, Kirsten, and Willette, South Portland, Maine, $17,250, raising to $17,750 in year 2018. The cost is based on the expected scope of work. If additional time is spent, they'll incur we'd incur an hourly charge of $80 to $210 per hour, depending upon who was providing the service. The company that did not meet the scope of work, that came in at $10,000, their timeline for doing the federal audits was after the June 30th deadline. They also wouldn't start that until July. They didn't include anything about MD&A or outside consultations in their proposals. So those are the 3 reasons why we did not we said that they did not meet the scopes. Staff also has concerns about their ability to complete the audit within the prices that they stated there. So, if a new auditor is utilized, it is more likely to incur additional costs with possible new GASB standard implementations in the next few years. This could get costly. Felch & Company has provided us auditing services in the past, has not charged us anything extra when we call them with questions. Their price is competitive with the other proposals, and they are a Caribou-based company. Taking all these things into consideration, staff recommends council award the audits for fiscal years 2016 to 2018 to Felch & Company.
What's council's wish?
I move that we accept staff recommendation, Felch and Company LLC.
Second.
All those in favor? Approved? 2017 budget, let's, okay. Where are we at as far as the capital expenditures?
We're waiting for council to set a date for a meeting.
Okay, do you have it ready, or when will it be ready, or?
We'll have it ready for whenever the council has a meeting set for.
Does council want to do that for next Monday, or?
Next Monday's Halloween.
Oh, yeah, I keep forgetting
Tuesday, the 1st?
that. Tuesday the 1st.
That's fine.
Jimmy?
Yeah, I think.
Shane? All right, Tuesday the 1st, we'll do it.
6 o'clock.
What does council want to do?
6 is fine, I don't know, anytime.
6? All right. Other business?
Is there no further direction the council wanted to give staff on the budget tonight? I thought that was kind of the crux of the
Yeah,
discussion.
do we want to
last
do
week.
that before we do the capital stuff, or do you want to do it now as far as?
I'd like to wait and have a chance to look over. Can I ask you why, I saw this agenda on the website. But how come we didn't get that? That would have been something that we could have gone, we did this
Right,
way
it's-
last year,
right.
and it would have kind of been a lot smoother to.
Yep, and we had the budget set up to go department by department. Council had us read through it all. They didn't ask any questions. I mean, it's all a fluid thing. but-
Yeah, but I mean, we didn't, I think it would have, we'd have gotten this, maybe, I don't know why it didn't go out. I happened to see it Wednesday morning, and I thought, oh, I wish I had seen that before. But,
Right.
but, yeah, we could probably do everything next Tuesday.
You want to do the capital thing first and then talk about the direction of the, is that what you're saying?
On Tuesday?
Yeah,
I'd like to give my recommendations.
okay.
I think, you know, where I'm at with the budget right now is, I think we're looking at what, two or so mil, 2.5?
607,000 over 2016, 480,000 over
Yeah, I think
2015.
so. And when I've talked to the manager about this too, you know, I think there's some things that we can try to cut back on the capital budgets. I think there's, we need to also, I think it's a, you know, I think there's a middle ground we can come to. I don't see us being at a net zero as far as taxes going up. I'm still of the belief that we should incrementally every year increase the taxes as we need to. I think if we would have done that in years past, we probably wouldn't be in the situation we're at right now. So I think there's some concessions to make as far as capital budgets, as far as salaries, as far as increases, as far as just general operating expenses. So if we're in that, you know, 1.5 range, that's where I'd be comfortable with. So, yep.
Anybody else? What do you want to do? You want to do the capital and then talk about it as well? You want to throw something out now, or?
I gave my 2 cents last meeting, and then I went to the bathroom, and by the time I came back, all hell broke loose. So I don't know where we're at right now.
I'll look at it further.
Well, I think my position was pretty firm, so. And I think it can be attained, so we will see. Any other business? I guess I'm supposed to mention absentee ballots are still available till,
7 o'clock, November 3rd, in our city of Caribou
till 7 o'clock, November the 3rd, for the city of Caribou.
and Connor Township.
Now, the 7 o'clock is just the one night?
We are open on Thursday, November 3rd, till 7 o'clock for absentees and voter registration only that evening.
Okay. In the evening on November the 3rd, it'll be open till 7 o'clock, but only for voter registration and absentee ballots. Anything else? Any other business? Make a motion to adjourn. Upcoming meeting dates, sorry. Monday, November 14th, regular council, and Monday, November 28th, regular council, and next Tuesday for, I guess, the budget workshop, is it? We're gonna talk about capital improvement plans, so we'll say it's a budget workshop. Yeah. I get a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second? All in favor? We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for coming.